Alright guys, thanks for clicking on the video. So as the title says, this is basically going to be a video about each team's best pickup. Now this is for free agency of 2017 up until this point. The one thing that won't be included are re-signings. Those won't be included. This is anyone who is an external free agent coming over to their new team. Okay, so things like Antonio Brown or Chandler Jones, those kind of signings I won't be including in this particular video. We're going to start with the NFC West and go from there. So in the NFC West, we have the 49ers. Okay, 49ers, I'm going to go ahead and say their best pickup this offseason so far is Pierre Garcon. He is a 1,000-yard receiver, as you guys know. Definitely an upgrade over Torrey Smith, no doubt about it. And the way that they're rebuilding over there, they just want playmakers. They want people who can do stuff, essentially. And they might not go far this year, but their goal is to do a lot better than they did last year. And I think Pierre Garcon's a good central piece on the offense to help that happen. Okay. Moving on, we have the Seattle Seahawks. And I'm going to go ahead and say their best pickup so far this offseason has been Eddie Lacey. Okay. And the reason for that is he's a reliable back. I mean, he's got the job done in the past. He's obviously a former Packer. And the Seahawks have really just been looking for that kind of a back since Marshawn Lynch just decided to retire. And I think he might be able to reinvigorate the offense depending on how he performs. So I went ahead and said that he's probably their best pickup so far. And, that whatever else remains to be seen. So next we have the Rams. So the Rams, I went ahead and got Robert Woods. Connor Barwin, I was going to say was their best pickup, but the only reason I didn't say that is because his production has really just went down the shitter, essentially. He hasn't been as productive in the last couple of years as he should have been, or as he should be expected to be. And Woods, he's I would say he's a solid number 2 wide receiver in the league. And he's still very young, he's 24. So, you start pairing up young guys with Jared Goff, you might, and if Jared Goff, if he gets to the point where they want him, then you're looking at a young team with a lot of talent. So, I think it was a good solid move on the Rams' part. Next, we have the Arizona Cardinals. I actually like this move. They actually picked up Jarvis Jones. Now, the reason I really like this is because they already have Chandler Jones. So now you got the double Joneses on outside linebacker. And I just think that's just a nasty combination right there. I'm curious to see how this works out because they shelled up when they got Jarvis Jones to pair him, opposite of Chandler Jones. So we'll see what happens there. But I thought that was a really good pickup. You can never have enough good outside linebackers, to be honest with you. So we'll see what happens. All right, that concludes the NFC West. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the NFC North just because I feel like it. So we're going to start with the Packers. And the Packers pick up Martellus Bennett. And I like this pickup as far as, who they've brought in. Martellus Bennett is definitely an upgrade over Jared Cook. I would say he's a slight upgrade. He's not, he's better at tight end, but Jared Cook wasn't a bad tight end. He's just not Martellus Bennett. He's a big target, and Aaron Rodgers is going to benefit a lot from having Martellus Bennett. You'll see. After the Packers, we have the Lions. And with the Lions, I have TJ Lang. Now, he's a Pro Bowl caliber guard. He's Pro Bowl. He went to the Pro Bowl. And you guys and anybody watching should know that football games are won in the trenches. So your defensive and offensive line are what win you the game most of the time, unless you have like a ridiculous secondary or wide receiver corps that just gets open immediately. Okay. After that, we have the Vikings. And the Vikings, I'm going to go ahead and say Latavius Murray is their best pickup this offseason. They did lose Adrian Peterson, who's just been there for the longest amount of time. And they needed somebody to kind of come in and fill his shoes. Now, I'm not trying to say Latavius Murray's going to come in and fill Adrian Peterson's shoes because he's not. Okay. But I will say this. I will say that the Vikings could have done a lot worse, right? So Latavius Murray, he's going to come in. He's probably going to be some sort of stopgap. I assume the Vikings will go after a running back at one point to fill that position that Adrian Peterson pretty much left. Okay. After that, we have the Bears, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm probably going to get some heat for this, but I'm going to go ahead and say Mike Glennon. Jay Cutler's gone. About damn time. The Bears have been suffering because of him. And I really think this is just a fresh start for them. And we'll see how Mike Glennon does. He might do really well. Who knows? Whatever the case, he can't do any worse than Jay Cutler. So if he does worse than Jay Cutler, I don't even know what to say anymore. I feel bad for Chicago fans at that point. Okay. All right, so that concludes the NFC North. Let's move on to the NFC South. Okay. In the NFC South, I have the Saints. And basically for them, I'm going to go ahead and say Nick Fairley's probably he's probably their best pickup so far. The Saints have been working on getting their defense together, and they're basically shoring up as much as possible. Now, right now, I would say Nick Fairley's probably their best pickup, but they're trying to work out some sort of deal with New England for Malcolm Butler. If that happens, I'm clearly going to go ahead and change this to Malcolm Butler. There's no doubt about that in my mind. So expect that to happen if that happens. All right, we have the Bucs. So Buccaneers, I'm going to go ahead and say Deshaun Jackson. Now, the reason I say this is because Deshaun Jackson is opposite of Mike Evans on the field. That is a receiving combination that no one should have to defend against. It's just nasty. Jameis Winston's a young quarterback, and you gave him insane options now. He's got Deshaun Jackson and Mike Evans. I mean, that's like giving him Christmas early, essentially, you guys. So we'll see what he does with it. He's got a big arm, Deshaun Jackson. He's a speedster. We'll see what happens, man. Maybe he'll throw some deep passes to him. Maybe we'll see some really good Sports Center highlights. All right, we got the Falcons next. Now the Falcons, their weakness last year was their defensive tackle position. They're kind of getting old there. They picked up Dontari Poe from the Chiefs, and man, that's a big pickup. I feel like he's going to maybe push them over the edge. Maybe they'll go all the way again this year, and maybe they'll even win it. Who knows? But that is a definite upgrade on their defense. And, I mean, if you put Dontari Poe in the Super Bowl, it could have went another way. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right. Next, we have the Panthers. Carolina Panthers. I'm not a Panthers fan. I just want to say that. But I'm going to go with Julius Peppers. Now, he's old, obviously, and he's definitely not who he used to be. But the reason I say Julius Peppers is because he has that leadership quality. He's a former Panther. And I just see him coming in and just making that defense I don't know how he's going to do. He's going to have that leadership quality and just really fire them up, get everybody going, right? He's that guy. So maybe he's just what they need as inspiration, just to fire them up. We'll see what happens, though. All right, moving on from the NFC South, we're going to go to the NFC East. So this is probably one of the more popular divisions in football, and I know a lot of people watching this video are probably really interested in this one. So the Cowboys, they really haven't done anything, and this was one of the only teams that I actually had to go with retaining a player because they didn't do anything. They're not doing anything. So I just said their best action so far this season has been re-signing Darren McFadden. It was hard. They haven't done much. Now, if they somehow pull some sort of trade off for Tony Romo, which I don't think they'll do, they're probably just going to end up cutting him. Unless somebody's desperate and they want to beat out another team for him, Broncos or Texans. But basically, unless one of those two guys shells up and starts trading, I don't really see them doing anything but cutting him. So we'll see what happens though. Next, we have the Eagles. Clearly, the Eagles' best acquisition has been Alshon Jeffrey. Carson Wentz now has a legit number one receiver. The only question mark here is if Alshon Jeffrey can stay healthy and out of trouble, essentially. If he can do both of those things, having him there with Torrey Smith is going to really help Carson Wentz along. I mean, that's just kind of like the Jameis Winston situation. You just gave a young quarterback Christmas early, essentially. So we'll see what he does with it, though. Carson Wentz, I feel like he's got a bright future ahead of him. Next, we have the Giants, guys. And the Giants picked up Brandon Marshall. And I don't know about you guys, but I like the sound of Odell Beckham and Brandon Marshall a lot more than I like the sound of Odell Beckham and Victor Cruz. Okay. This is just another one of those situations where you have two really crazy good receivers on the same team. It's just, I don't know what it is. First the Bucs, then the Eagles, and now the Giants. Like, they're just shelling up these two receiver combinations that are just nasty. But we'll see what happens here. I mean, Brandon Marshall, he's getting older, but he's still got stuff left in the tank. And then you put Odell Beckham over there across from him, and it's just going to be confusing for defenses, in my opinion. Last in the division, we have the Redskins. Man, all I'm going to say about the Redskins is if they did do something right this year, it was getting Terrell Pryor, because they lost both their really good receivers in Pierre Garcon and Deshaun Jackson. They have a really pissed off quarterback in Kirk Cousins, who's just they've just been screwing him over big time. And really, I don't got anything nice to say about them, to be honest with you. But I mean, Terrell Pryor is, he's a long shot. We'll see what happens. Maybe he'll continue to do well, and then he can finally get himself a contract after proving himself. But man, I mean, that organization is just, I don't know what they're thinking. All right, moving on to the AFC. So we have the AFC South. Okay. AFC South, we got the Tennessee Titans. That's my team. Picking up Logan Ryan. Now, Tennessee has a real big problem in the secondary, guys. They picked up Jonathan Cyprien, but Logan Ryan's the real centerpiece right now of their secondary. They stole him away from New England for a pretty good price. So we'll see what he does to help out their cornerback situation. I don't know if they're going to keep McCourty, but if they do, great. If not, get rid of him, save some cap, pick up somebody in the draft, probably Lattimore or something. All right, moving on. The Texans. Now, Texans are another one of those teams that piss me off doing this, because they haven't really done anything either. They're sitting around waiting for Romo, and I already know it. But like them, I really didn't have a lot of options. Their best pickup has been Nick Novak. He's a kicker. And that's only because I don't have any other options. Nobody else to choose from, right? If Romo comes, clearly he's going to go ahead and get the nod from me as being the best pickup for them. But there's been word that they might actually pick up Jay Cutler too, so who knows? I probably wouldn't make the investment in Jay Cutler, though. He's definitely not better than anybody they've recently had, if not equal. So it'd be a waste of their time and energy to go after him, in my opinion. Next, we have the Jaguars. Now, these mother effers, every freaking year, I don't know, they must pull a cap room out of their ass or something. I don't know how they do it, but man, they seem to have like superstars in everywhere, and they still can't get stuff done. I just don't understand how the Jaguars can't get anything done. But they went ahead and got the prize of free agency. They got AJ Boye. I mean, Calais Campbell, I was going to go with him too. He's a lot older though. Boye, more people were kind of after him, and he got paid more. So I'm going to say he's probably going to be my choice here. Although Campbell is definitely a big upgrade on their line. Definitely a big upgrade. Next, we have the Colts. And for the Colts, I'm going to go ahead and go with Jabal Shard. They need a pass rusher. And, I mean, he's not the best pass rusher in the league. He's definitely not the best defensive end in the league, but he's not bad at all. It's good. He's definitely an upgrade to what they had. And he's coming off of a Super Bowl win, so why not? Good investment, right? All right, let's move on to the AFC East, where everybody's least liked football team is. And here they are. The New England Patriots picking up Stephon Gilmore. He came in to replace Logan Ryan. And at this point, possibly Malcolm Butler if New Orleans has their way. Who knows if that'll happen. If it does, then they probably will draft a corner to pair up with him. But even as a Titans fan and getting Logan Ryan, who is not a bad corner. Logan Ryan's definitely a solid number 2, possibly even a number 1 level corner. But Gilmore is definitely an upgrade over him, and having him paired up with Malcolm Butler is a nasty combination for any receiving corps that has to go against that. So I think it's a good pickup personally, as long as they can hold on to Malcolm Butler. We have the Dolphins next, and I'm going to go ahead and go with Lawrence Timmons. They got themselves a solid linebacker here. He's definitely got Super Bowl and Pro Bowl experience, so you can't really go wrong with that. And Linebacker is a really sought after position in this league. I mean, they're the jack of all trades, right? So getting one that has that ability is definitely a good thing. All right. Moving on, we have Micah Hyde, and he's out of Buffalo. He's going to be out there in Buffalo from Green Bay. I like this pick because he's, they've definitely been busy. They've signed quite a few people, but he's a young, reliable safety, and he had a lot of good times in Green Bay, and I think it'll just continue to work out here. I kind of wish the Bills would have held on to Stephon Gilmore and maybe paired him up, but beggars can't be choosers, so it is what it is. Last in this division, we have the Jets. And the Jets picked up Morse Claiborne. This is just to replace Revis. Essentially, Revis is gone due to age and free agency and legal troubles. So, they're basically replacing him with Morse Claiborne. Now, that's a great pickup as long as Claiborne can stay healthy. He's definitely not Darrelle Revis in his prime, but he's not a bad corner either. So. All right, moving out west to Cali and the West Coast area, we have the AFC West. Now, the Raiders went ahead and picked up Jared Cook. He's one of the better tight ends in the league, and he was definitely a solid target last year for Aaron Rodgers. And I'm going to stick with this particular pick, unless, of course, the Raiders can somehow pick up Zach Brown. But I don't know how that's going to work. They're still kind of working on that because he's definitely one of the better inside linebackers in the league. But as of right now, it's Jared Cook. The Chiefs don't really have a lot of money to do anything with, and I'm going to give you kind of my opinion here. I'm going to say their best pickup so far has been C.J. Spiller. He's obviously a replacement for Jamal Charles at this point. Benny Logan was their other acquisition that they got. He's a big acquisition. Only problem is that Dontari Poe and Benny Logan basically have the same contract. They're getting paid the same. So I don't understand why they couldn't pay Poe. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense if you're paying a replacement the same amount of money. And I don't know about you, but Benny Logan is not Dontari Poe. He's not that player. So I don't know. I think this was a stupid move on their part, but I'm not in charge of their cap, so I'll leave it at that. But yeah, CJ Spiller takes it here because really they don't have any money to buy anybody else. The Broncos. I see what the Broncos are doing. They picked up Ron Leary here from Dallas. And he's basically, he's part of one of the best offensive lines in football. And if they decide that they want to bring Tony Romo over, they're going to need to protect him because we all know he is very fragile and you can hit him and he's going to break. So to have a good line there, and prepare that, they're obviously investing in their quarterback's health, whether it happens to be Tony Romo or whether they happen to go with Trevor Siemian or one of their other cornerbacks like Paxton Lynch or something. So we'll see what happens there, but that's definitely an upgrade for them, and they're looking out for their quarterbacks, so you can't argue with that. All right, finishing off the AFC West, we have the Los Angeles guys, Los Angeles Chargers, okay? They went ahead and picked up Russell Okung, and he's an above average left tackle in the league. As far as left tackles in the league, it's tough to get one that's okay, and damn near impossible to get one that's fucking super good. But in the case of Russell Okung, you can't really go wrong with him. He's kind of the proverbial bounce around left tackle, but he does perform when he needs to. So I give that to the Chargers. All right, last division, guys. We're going to go out to the AFC North. The Steelers picking up Justin Hunter. Most of their big signings were their own guys. Justin Hunter's a tall guy. He's definitely a red zone threat. He just hasn't really come into his own since entering the league. He's been cut by a few teams, traded. We'll see what the Steelers do with him, though. Maybe they'll be able to change that. The Bengals, Andre Smith at tackle. Bengals have been depleted this free agency, so any offensive line help they can get is going to be very helpful. And we'll see what happens here, but I say any O-linemen that they can get that are serviceable, it's going to be a benefit. The Browns got Kevin Zeitler and also J.C. Trader, but I give it to Kevin because he's a little bit better. But I mean, the Browns basically revamped their whole offensive line, and I wouldn't be surprised if their offensive line was one of the best in the league next year, at least on paper. So we'll see what they do, but they're definitely going to be a formidable force in the trenches. I can't wait to see what happens when teams try to go against them this year. It's going to be good. Last team, guys, the Ravens. Now, the Ravens really shelled up, but they kind of did it under the radar. They got Tony Jefferson at safety, and I see what they're doing here. They're kind of replicating the old days when they had Ed Reed and stuff. But essentially, you got Tony Jefferson here at safety, and he's the new centerpiece of their secondary. And along with him, you got Brandon Carr as well. I mean, I didn't even realize they were doing this until it was too late. But they've definitely made an advance in their secondary. It's going to be a really tough secondary to deal with, and Tony Jefferson's not a bad centerpiece for that. So, well, that's it, guys. That's my list of best pickups so far in free agency. I tried to make sure that we didn't have to deal with any re-signings. I know that there was the one from the Cowboys because they don't do nothing. So I had no choice but to say re-signing Darren McFadden was probably the best choice at this point. But I hope you guys liked it. Make sure to leave comments in the box below. Also, make sure to like this video and subscribe if you want more content like this. All right, everybody. Have a great day, and thanks for tuning in.